Okay. Let's call the meeting of Economic, Tourism, and Cultural Development to order. I'd like to welcome Aaron Hansen, Quentin Bevan, John McAleer, and I know Councillor Yankoff wanted to be here, but she's in a conflict and she's on her way to a conference. So welcome, everybody. Can I have approval of the agenda? Moved by Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor Tweel. Any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, can I have approval of the minutes of October 2nd, 2025? Kevin Ramsey moves. Councillor Tweel, second. Any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none. Presentations. Did have a request. Quentin Bevan's been trying to get a project off the ground apparently for a little while now. It's run into some snags, so we thought we would add it to our agenda since CADC is under our purview of our committee. So I'd like to welcome again Aaron Hansen here, and Quentin's also here to do a presentation on what they would like to see moving forward. So, gentlemen, you guys have the floor.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for the invite as well. Appreciate you being here. As you mentioned, Aaron Hansen with CADC is here. I'll just give you a little history of,
Sure. Yep.
of the area and what is happening there. So over many years, our group has acquired buildings and lots on Queen Street between Dorchester and King Street. Our own one of our companies operated down there from like 1945 till like 2010 or 12. We continue to operate it and rent it with the kind of the long-term goal of developing it, which is where we're at now. Some of the properties, like I said, were acquired by different generations of our family business, and the last few properties were acquired since I've been involved in some of the developments down there. So the front properties that you'll see here, like the red building, which is the old Duffy store, is designated heritage. The next building, Downtown Convenience, is renovated. The next building is our old shop, which has 3 commercial spaces plus commercial space up top, is renovated. And where you'll see at the corner here, what's the clicker of that? What you'll see here at the corner, or maybe not, anyway, here at the corner is on the corner of Dorchester and Queen. That's the old.
Push it again. Push the laser.
So this corner here, Councillor, that you'll see, that's the old Allied Sales building. So that's the new development, proposed development going back, which is the planning board now, or planning department. It goes back all the way in Dorchester and then over to King Street. The buildings to the right of that are existing and are renovated. So just to give you a little bit, some of our dealings with the city on this project. Obviously, it's a sensitive area in terms of traditional historic areas of Charlottetown. It's in the 500 lots. So we wanted to be respectful of that. So we've been in front of Heritage Board over the years and have had lots of touch points with them. One of the things, I don't have to tell anybody here, but one of the things that the Heritage Board wants is maintain historic scale on main streets. So that's what we've done here. There was obviously a lot of individuals that maybe would have looked at tearing down some of the Queen Street stuff and build there and look for scale there. We worked with the Heritage Board on that to tell them, look, we're not going to touch the scale on Queen Street. We're going to maintain that and renovate it, which we've done. When we get to the corner of Dorchester, that building we felt had to come down, and it is down now. The only thing we asked for there is we asked to go to 4 stories there. The building of Allied Sales was at 2. However, that building was built on that lot after a fire, and before the fire, there was 4 stories on that historic, so we were able to show that to the Heritage Board. So, they said, yeah, we're okay with that scale. And then on the back, we're proposing to go to seven floors. That one of the reasons for that is once we kind of go through a few more slides here, you'll see, which is to scale, you'll see it doesn't overshadow, say, the Basilica or some of those other things. So there is a reason for that number 7, and that's one of them. Even though if we do get our variances approved, we'd have an as of right to go quite a bit higher than that. We're proposing to go to 7. We've talked to the city and had lots of touch points on this over the years, and I made it pretty clear that for this development to happen, we needed 2 things from the city or from particular city departments. One was there's actually an old city street that runs right through the middle between Dorchester and King Street. And so one of our requests was, and it took us a while to do it. It went to council. I forget the exact timeline, but so one of our requests was for us to purchase that laneway, Old Street, from the city. So we went through that process I forget the exact terminology. I dealt with a few different CAOs on it. It took a while, and the city basically had that appraised, put it out for public offerings. We bid on it and bought that. And the other thing that I have always made it really clear with the city, which is why we're here today, that King and Dorchester, the overhead lines should be buried. A whole bunch of reasons for it beyond just this project. A couple of them are between the waterfront and Province House, between Queen and Great George. They are the only areas that are not buried. Everything else is buried, and it's obviously a hugely important part of our city. If we think of the number of residents and tourists that are down at the water that we want to funnel through to the businesses and attractions that are on and around Queen, if you're coming from the water, whether it's the Peace Quay area, Confederation Landing, the cruise ship port, and you're coming up Great George, Water Street is very inviting. It looks great. You get to King and Dorchester, and they are not at all. You've got lines, you've got poles that are crooked. You've just got nothing there to say those are streets that I should go down. When you get to Sydney, I know it may need some work, but it's still done and it looks great. You get to Victoria Row, obviously we all know what that looks like, which is great. And it puts, we feel, a major disadvantage to Lower Queen Street by not having those 2 connector streets at least look inviting. And so that's been our push. Obviously, this development wants it, that to happen. This is a residential and commercial. So on the top 2 floors, we have a Class A tenant committed to those 2 floors that we're dealing with now. And there are 2 levels of parking, which you can see. They won't look like a parking garage, and they won't be a traditional parking garage that we'd see like the Queen and Pownell's. They'll be fully enclosed, and it'll look like a building as opposed to a parking garage. And then there are floors of apartments, 40 apartments, and then more commercial on the corner of Queen and Dorchester. The other thing that we have with this development is we have as a public benefit that we are going to maintain. You'll see here behind the old Duffy store, that's the old city laneway. So we're not going to build on that laneway. We're going to keep it open. Right now it's a dead end. Well, actually it's not a dead end because all the buildings have been torn down, but traditionally it was a dead end. There was a fence at the end of it. Dead ends are not something that I want in the city, and certainly not something that I want a part of as this development. So we're going to do it as a public benefit. That froze there a little bit. Yeah. So we'll get to it through here. There's some time. The other thing we're doing. So this is the back side of say if you were looking at it from King Street. So we're going to do things so that the parking area doesn't necessarily look like a parking area. We've got windows in there. We've got a living wall. And some of these ideas have been through some friends we have who are very passionate about heritage. They've given us some really good ideas on this development that we've incorporated. So we've got a living wall. We've indented the garage doors on King and Dorchester so that they don't protrude right out on it. We're going to use similar siding on the garage doors as we have on the upper levels so that it doesn't look like traditional kind of garage door, which sometimes aren't the most appealing. So this is, if you were on King Street, this is what we're doing for kind of public benefit. If you were on King Street, looking straight through to Dorchester, this will be, so our new building is what's on the right, and our existing buildings is what's on the left. So there'll be opportunities there for our existing commercial tenants that are on Queen Street. We're going to open up the back of their store, so they'll be able to activate this. This is not something that's going to get built and just left, because sometimes laneways or alleys, for lack of a better term, can have some negative things going on in them. So we're going to maintain it, we're going to beautify it, and there'll be a commercial component to it, and it'll be maintained like that. This is, once again, off King Street. There'll be one of our entrances to the building for the residences is off King Street, the other's off Dorchester. This would be if you're looking onto Dorchester. On the left is the entrance to the Class A office tenant, and we'd be looking straight through onto King Street. Same view, just back a little bit. And this is off King Street as well with our living wall. This shows the scale of it with the 7 floors and the 4 on the front on the corner of Dorchester and Queen. So as you can see, we're kind of working hard to not kind of overshadow any kind of super important buildings in the area. And same thing, this is from King Street. If you were back on King Street, this is looking at the scale. Same side on Dorchester. And this is the back. So yeah, so that's, I'm happy to take any questions on the development. Construction is starting in April. We have, there's 7 properties down there that were 6, I guess. There were 7 PIDs, but 6 properties, buildings that were torn down that we got demo permits for, asbestos removal is taking place, all that thing. So now the lot is ready. April is the construction start date. And the project we would like the city to do is to bury the underground lines. At one of our meetings that we had, CADC is with me because they have agreed to manage the project, and so they can talk to that. We've had several kind of meetings with city officials over the years on this. It was brought to us. I know, and this is not part of our ask, but it might make sense for some coordination of city departments, because it was brought to us that through water and sewer, that those 2 areas are some of the oldest infrastructure in the city. True or false, it's beyond me, and like I said, it's not part of our ask, but it may be something that the city wants to deal with that department on and look at, well, things are torn up, that they may want to do that as well. From a timeline point of view, obviously, it makes sense to do these things while we are under construction as opposed to after or before. And we are planning on starting April 1st. Everything now, all of our applications and everything is in planning department. And they have our architect, Sable Arc, is working with them. So there are some variances. We're going to do design review first and continue on with our design and get our feedback on that. And then we're doing our public meetings and planning boards. And that was advice from planning department to do it in that order. So like I said, I have CDC here. Aaron can maybe speak to, he's done some of these projects before, and maybe if he's have questions on any of the processes or anything like that.
Yeah, Aaron, do you want to take the floor? I will say, before you start, Aaron, that it's a pretty impressive project. It's the first time that I've seen it. I don't know the other councillors. And you're right, we do have some infrastructure age issues down there, Sydney Street being one, and I believe that's being talked about. So, and I think a project of this magnitude, it's a good idea to have CADC on board, and CIDC and Wayne with our department can work on some applications for funding. I know when we did Queen Street and Water Street, so we had a COA, we had the federal and provincial governments on side. So, Aaron, want to go ahead?
Thank you, Chair. Just to add some additional information for you all as you kind of weigh in on this. Quentin mentioned all of those parallel streets are undergrounded already prior, except for these 2, just King and Dorchester. King Street, which is the lower one, closer to water, is 3-phase, which means there are 3 overhead lines up on the pole, not just 1. Dorchester is a single line. CDC has offered to help project manage if the city if this turns into something, so you can factor that in. I've connected with Craig McIntyre of EA Electrical Engineering, trying to dimension an order of magnitude. How much does this cost? He was hesitant to throw a number at it without doing some due diligence, but he did say between $500,000 and $750,000 for both streets. But with an asterisk, he would like to flush that out to nail down a number. He has given a price of $1,500 to pursue and get a hard number, which CADC will happily pay for if you want to continue down the path.
750,000 to bury the lines on both streets?
Yeah, 500,000 to 750,000.
That's a
There
lot
may
cheaper
be
than I
some
would've thought.
synergies with water and sewer,
Yeah.
and you're digging up the streets, so there's potential savings.
Just if I could add to that real quick, like, let's not run with that number because, and the only reason I say that is, you know, in our construction business, we deal with this stuff and like, he may not be including paving and sidewalks and.
But that would be our cost anyway.
Well,
usually.
sure,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you know, and, you know, when Maritime and Bell and Eastlink get involved, you never know exactly. So, you know, that maybe take things and just put them underground, but it obviously wouldn't include any water and sewer, depending on what you folks, if anything, want to do with beautification, things like that. Our request is none of that. Our request is just to have the lines
Yeah.
underground. If this thing gets beautified with the full meal deal, that's obviously great for the city. But our request here is that a project gets undertaken to bury the lines.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Got it.
That's about all I have to add, so I'm sure you have questions, guys. Just throw them out.
Councilor Twill or Councilor Ramsey, any questions?
From a water and sewer point of view, what are we looking at in terms of an expenditure?
I don't have that number. I
Mr. McEwen,
called this
can you
morning
give us-
asking.
Can you give us an estimate? Can't.
I'm not sure, Councilor Twill, that really matters. I think the request here today is what the underground lines, what's it going to cost to bury the underground lines? I think the water and sewer will be part of their 5-10-year plan, whenever they're planning on doing Sydney, King, and Dorchester, that would be part of their budget as the city work anyway. I think what's requested here is, it would probably save the city a lot of money if you're going to go in and tear those streets up to do water and sewer, that you're probably a good time to bury the lines too. So this is a request that they're being made. I believe this is a $30 million project, if I'm not
We don't
mistaken.
have exact numbers yet, but we're in the construction
Yeah.
world, and if we were taking a guess, that would be it. But we're getting our exact cost back in December. But it's a significant development for that area of the city.
And I think the plans always were at some point to bury the lines. That's why we have Water Street done. That's why the Queen, so on. So I think it was a progression to move up. So right now, I see this as CADC and Wayne working together on applications with
Right.
their funding
I
process. see
still
what,
like to-
see what kind of money we get there.
No, I understand that, but since Mr. McEwen's here, I'd just like to get a ballpark figure of what you think in terms of water and sewer infrastructure. Just looking for an estimate.
I'm not able to provide that at this time. We'd have to review it.
Okay.
Councilor Ramsey, you have any questions?
No, just a comment. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It looks beautiful. And as the chair says too, we already got a couple of streets with the lines buried. And we won't sort of bank on that number 5 to 750 because as we all know, the world will change tomorrow. But I think that's a great project. And as we're going along with it, you know, we may as well do it all at once. Sewer and water and everything along that line. That's just my view on it. And I think it'll really pick up that part of the city.
Okay.
Thank
So I guess, John, do you have any questions, by the way? You're welcome to add something if you wish.
No, thank you, Chair. Just, Quentin, you indicated there's applications in with planning now, so that must be on the variance part of it, is it? Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's a design review There's a few variants that we do need, and there's a lot consolidation because we had several PIDs, including the PID that we created for the city street. So yeah, I think there's 4 or 5 applications that are in with Laurel and David right now, and so our architect Sable Arc is working with them directly on that. And like I had mentioned, their recommendation to myself and the architect was to do the design review, so we have that information as we go for the variances as well. So those will be happening kind of in conjunction at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, just curious to understand, and I know this is, a lot's got to happen before we get to this point, but, you know, if the vision kind of got completed and you say 7 stories, does it lend itself to, you say it could go higher, but, because of as of right, but will the structure, if it's done, allow for additional height if you so chose?
That'd be a question for a structural engineer, but yeah, that would be how it would be built, yeah. Yeah, but again, our desire is 7, and if we were looking to go 9 or 10, we would do it now, because it would be a heck of a lot easier to do it at the front end, but that's not on our radar at all.
Yeah, and just another comment, which is, I guess, similar to Councillor Bernard's, or Chair Bernard's. I have no idea, I wouldn't have had any idea at all of what the cost would have been on burying power, and I know Richard, you know, the Shore and Water can't speak to that, but if I'd have guessed the number, it would have been higher than. But anyway, just a comment. So no, it's certainly an exciting project, and you've done a lot of work to enhance that whole block area, and you know, we wish you luck. Just curious, the Monarch, is that going to be the moniker if it comes to be, and what's his story on that?
The name, that's the working name of it right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you guys good? Great. So the only comments, let's say, is one, I did mention the project was good, but I do like what you're doing with the throughway. I think that looks really good, and I think it's a great idea, and have it well lit, and yeah.
Yeah, if I could just say one thing, I mean, that I would like to take credit for it, but it was actually somebody who'd be known to the city who gave us a lot of ideas on that. Someone who's quite passionate about heritage, and
We'll give you credit, though, Clinton.
well, I don't deserve any credit on it, but between that individual and the architect, they come up with there was 2 or 3 ideas that we got from that crowd from kind of our original design that have, in my opinion, will make the project substantially better.
Well, sometimes small things make a big difference, right? The only thing I'd ask now is the committee, are they okay with our staff working together with CADC and moving ahead with some applications for partner funding? Moved by Kevin, second by Mr. Tweel. Okay, we're good. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming in. Really appreciate that. The other item on the agenda is the update on parking ticket forgiveness program. I think you recall that Councillor Beck brought that up a couple of times. And Wayne did have his meeting with Don Allen. And I'm just going to read, as we know, this is DCI's program, not ours. So we usually approve it. Wayne, I can read it off if you're okay. So what Don Allen come back with, it makes perfect sense. But I did tell Councillor Beck that we would bring it to our committee. The original parameters for the parking ticket forgiveness program were developed based on best practice examples. The intent was never to teeter compliance with parking regulations, but rather to offer a reasonable solution for those who may be delayed while conducting business downtown. So for some context, a single downtown parking space is valued at approximately $300 per hour for a retailer, assuming consistent turnover during business hours of 9 to 5. The program is designed as a goodwill courtesy, not an opportunity for repeated forgiveness. It recognizes occasional, understandable delays, not habitual violations. The likelihood of any individual receiving more than 1 ticket per week is very low. However, in theory, one person could have up to 12 tickets forgiven over the 3 months of this program. If downtown employees were allowed to park in front of their place of business without concern by simply paying once and relying on the ticket forgiveness. So it would significantly reduce turnover and availability, ultimately working against the health of the downtown commerce. The program has been well received, appreciated by the community, and remains a positive, passive initiative. It supports both fairness and function. That said, we must remain mindful that parking turnover is essential to the success of all downtown businesses. For this reason, we see no need to alter the current policy or process, which is, by the way, I felt was well written by Don. And this goes back to what our CAO had mentioned when this came up at council about the police also had involvement when this program was being put together. So I would say after that, the program has already started and would continue to go as it's been intended. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on that, but Councilor Sweeto, go ahead.
Yeah, I brought up at the council meeting when we approved this, maybe when this year's done, we could look at, in conjunction with DCI, look at expanding the program into other months of the year, to create an incentive for people to come downtown and shop. So there'll be obviously an evaluation once this year's done. So I'd like to pursue that and see what the possibilities are.
Yeah, sure. I think that's something that, I would definitely run by DCI. Again, this is DCI's program. We're just basically agreeing to let it go ahead because we're responsible for the meters, obviously. But yeah, that's something that we could run by DCI and, again, get their opinion on. But I will reiterate, it is their program. If they see fit to extend it, we'll certainly have that conversation. If they see fit to leave it as it is, we'll have that conversation with them too.
Wayne, I know you made a note of that, so in your discussions with the executive director of DCI, you can say that, I brought it up and maybe we can explore that.
And CAO, Brad, you'll have something you want to add?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And DCI will be cognizant of this also, but it's really finding the balance. Metered parking, the spirit of metered parking is to create space turnover, so people can have available access to businesses. So you just can't have one working against the other. You have to find that balance, and DCI will appreciate that also. But it's just a part of the consideration process for initiatives like this.
No, appreciate that. DCI has been a great partner all these years. I will say, I forgot to mention this, so I must mention it now. I will say one of the meetings I had with Don Allen, she did mention that DCI, with all the contacts they have with the different businesses, any projects that are going on downtown, whether it's construction projects or have you that we look to get word out, they could really help the city with that, getting the word out on those projects, and they would have a lot of contacts to do that, which I thought was a really good offer, nice offer. So something we might want to take advantage of anytime we're doing any projects downtown. So other than that, if nobody has any more questions, I'll call for adjournment. Sorry.
I just want to bring something up under new business.
Just a sec.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Brad.
Chair, I just use this opportunity to just talk about the King and Dorchester Development Project again, alongside with the committee's recommendation that Wayne work with CDC. I think it might be a benefit also if that same presentation that was given to committee today was given to Council of the Whole at some point. I think we've learned a few things from seeing the presentation. I think it would be benefit if committee thoughts also for all of council to see and hear from developers.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. My thought was that they could at least start the process in the application process to see where it goes, and during that, that's not going to happen overnight. So during that process, they can get started. That we can have them come in and do the same presentation to all of council. Is what you're suggesting?
That's correct, Chair. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's fine. Actually, I thought it was a great presentation. And I didn't know anything about it, and Quentin was saying this, been working on it for 2 years. So, but yeah, yeah. They have presented to planning, I understand. Is that correct, Mike? Because they've been going through the application process, so I suspect they presented to planning.
I don't think there has been a presentation as of yet. Mr. Bevan had mentioned, the next step is moving through the design review process. So that would go to design review board for a determination. And then after that, as he also mentioned, there's a couple of variances that he's exploring that would be needed to facilitate the project moving forward.
Okay.
Chair?
Go ahead, Councilor Ramsey.
Just a comment, you just said that what the CAO sort of suggested that in the future, we have it all in front of council with the presentation, because when that happens, then if you're not at this meeting or you don't watch this meeting, like you can see it more in progress and say, okay, this is what it's gonna cost us to bury these lines. Like everybody's on the same page because they're hearing the same message, and I think that's a great idea. And like, it doesn't have to happen tomorrow because, as I said, there's only, like, there's baby steps, and they're not starting until April, right? So you know, we have lots of time to bring in front of council. Thank you.
Okay. And Councilor Twill, you wanted to have something under introduction of new business?
Yeah, I brought up about the farmer's market down on the waterfront. I talked about the success of the farm day in the city. Saw the email there from Mark, and then there was an email sent mid-morning from one of the vendors. So having said all of that, I think it's a good time over the winter months to do a reevaluation of the market down on the waterfront versus bringing it back to Queen Street. There was always the intentions of bringing it back to Queen Street. Once there was a review done, read the email like the rest of you. I don't know if you had a chance to read the email there this morning.
Yep.
So anyway, I'd like to have that opportunity, over the next couple of months, 2 or 3 months, to have a look at the possibilities of doing a review and looking at the possibilities of having the market on Queen Street, see what the challenges are, see what the possibilities are. Again, I'll reiterate what I said at the council meeting. I talked to some of the vendors at Farm Day in the city. They like Farm Day. They liked having the market on Queen Street, and just want to explore that possibility.
Thank you, Councilor Twill. And we did have, I don't know if you were on the committee, we did have Mike do a report, update on Queen Street, what was needed to have the farmers market there. Now, my understanding, the farmers market and Farm Day in the city are two totally different programs. But the other email that you may have read was from Mark Harold, and he owns the rights to the Charlottetown market, and they've done surveys. And as the owner of the downtown Charlottetown market, this is coming from Mark Harold. The reason for the move in 2024 was that of safety concerns raised by police and fire services. So I think those safety concerns are still there. Specifically, they were concerned with the lack of proper barricades to make the site safe, and that the market took place over 14 consecutive weekends, which increased the risk factor. So with close to 90 vendors, there will also be differences of opinions. However, I can definitely state that the consensus from vendors is that they like the Confederation Landing Park location and see the potential for growth. We sent a survey to all the vendors, and while we are still accepting responses, the picture is already clear. Here are the results so far. So the question was, were you satisfied with your overall experience as a vendor this season? And 80% yes. Did the market meet your expectations for customer traffic and sales? 56 very satisfied, 26% satisfied. Would you recommend this market to other potential vendors? It was 85%. Are you planning to return as a vendor next season? 78%. Were the market setup and teardown procedures efficient, well organized? 82%, very satisfied, 18% satisfied. Did you receive adequate support from market staff when needed? 89% satisfied. Was the vendor application and registration process straightforward? Again, 89%. Were you satisfied with communications and response times? 89%, yes. Were you satisfied with the assigned vendor space location? 67%. Did the market layout allow for good customer flow to your booth? 82%. Did you feel well informed about market policies and changes throughout the season? 89%. Were you satisfied with the market's promotional efforts and advertising? 70%. A lot of really good questions in the survey, I feel. The Confederation Landing Park is a great location for the cruise ship traffic. In talking to several Queen Street retailers last year, I discovered the support for regular Sunday market on Queen Street is mixed, which is a true statement. So moving an event always carries risk with us. So anyway, you get the sense of that. And finally, I'll read, it is tempting to compare Farm Day in the city with the downtown Charlottetown market, as they are very different events. For starters, Farm Day receives funding from multiple sources, while the market receives no funding. This means that Farm Day's budget is programming and marketing is much higher, which helps them to draw a larger audience. So anyway, I think the survey was a very good idea, and it's well done. I think Confederation Landing, as it turns out, I believe this was the second year. It seems to be working out well, Confederation Landing, and the Farm Day in the city is working out well for Queen Street. So, other than that, I think that Mark, you or Mike,
I'd like to,
I know you did the report on Queen Street. So has there been any changes to that since the report was done? I know there was some upgrades that had to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So following that report, staff have continued to move forward with trying to secure the road closure equipment. So there was, I believe, a tender that was released earlier this year, and I think the Public Works and Engineering team are trying to secure that equipment before the end of the year. So that will be a major step forward in providing secure road closure equipment to address some of the concerns that have been raised.
Okay.
To your note, the farmers market is not a city event, so ultimately we would deal with the event operator, not the individual vendors.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. All right.
so.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I do.
But it's not an agenda item. I don't know how much.
No, I understand that, but, you did read out the email there from Mark.
Yeah.
So, I'd
Just to
like
give you
to,
context of where,
pardon?
just to give you context.
No,
of it's
I
not
read
our-
it.
it's
I
not
read
our
it, but,
event.
but
Okay.
I just want to add value to the discussion. The gentleman that was on Queen Street relocated to Confederation Landing, and then, certainly has an appetite to look at Queen Street. So I just want to read out a couple of his points. Wanted to reach out to you. This is Olin Penner. Wanted to reach out to you now. Now that
Yeah,
this,
you know what, Councilor Twill, I'm going to stop it there because we've all read the email. We know it.
yeah, I know, but
it's- we're
in
having
all
a
fairness,
conversation here, so-
I know, but in all fairness, Chair, you read
It's
Mark's.
one person, Mitchell.
What?
It's one person. That's his opinion. We don't own the event.
Well,
I'm reading off a guy that owns the event.
Yeah, I know, but there's a discrepancy in the numbers, This year, for example, 30 to 60 vendors, when we used to get 70 to 90 on Queen Street. That's a substantial difference. So all I'm asking is just to revisit. Let the chips fall where they may. That's all I'm asking, folks.
I don't know how we revisit it when it's not our event. That's the
Well,
problem.
can we not talk to them? Isn't our job to work with, the event coordinator? I mean, we work with CADC, we work with other agencies throughout the city, so I
Tell you
think
what, we'll ask our staff to touch base with this Mark Rolt and ask if he's interested in making a move or staying where he is. 'Cause he
well,
owns the
I
event.
just think we need to
Yeah,
explore
that'll
it.
work?
Well, yeah, I just
Okay.
want to explore it.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. Move second. Thank you very much.